the day started like any other normal day, and we trooped off to the Mall Road. And of course, Lahore was very different. There wasn't so much traffic, and I think I remember being dropped there by someone from my family. I myself was very young, you know, I was what, 27, I think. 27, I'd just come back from England 2-3 years before that after finishing my studies. I was young, I was full of energy, I was fearless, like we all were. And I think the other thing I want to add is in my situation, you know, I was working for the government. I was in NEPA, the National Institute of Public Administration, Lahore, semi-autonomous government institute. I was in grade 17. So I was a government servant. So, you know, I had already been in protests because we had started WAF Lahore prior to this call. And I remember I used to take a dupatta and a shawl or something, you know, because I used to want to make sure that I'm not too visible. And also I used to be very, very careful कि मेरी ज़्यादा तस्वीरें ना हो. I think not at all. I think we saw it as a completely, you know, we were protesting specifically against the law of evidence and Qanun-e-Shahadat, and I think we just rolled up there. Punjab Women Lawyers Association had given the call. Hina's outfit, she was some office bearer at the time of that organization. I don't think that we expected anything. I think we just went along to protest. We had been protesting already in 1982 and earlier in 80. We had already been protesting against some of the laws and against the Zia regime. So it was nothing out of the ordinary. We just went along. There were these, they had made these barricades, human and with, and we wanted to go forward and we tried to break the barricades, and that's when it all started. And there was, the police were very harsh, and they had brought in women police. And I remember now things are slowly coming back. Like I remember a small incident that the women police initially were very friendly. You know, we would do salam to them, they would reply to us, and we would say कि you know हम आपके लिए यहाँ आए हैं, औरतों के हकूक़ के लिए लड़ने आए हैं, and you know you should be part of our struggle, and trying to sort of win them over. Khair. But interesting that there were women police and women constables at that time. So they were in the front line. And I suppose police are police, you know, when the resistance and the beating started, they were also very involved. I remember the tear gas going off now, yeah. You see, I mean, I had never experienced tear gas. I mean, I think many people there hadn't. Maybe some of the older women had, but you know, I remember they let off these canisters of tear gas. और अब मुझे याद है बहुत ज़्यादा, you know, maybe because उस वक्त भी I wore glasses, and I remember बहुत ज़्यादा stinging in the eyes, and you know, and one was wiping it with the dupatta or shawl or whatever one was wearing. They let the tear gas off first, so that obviously, you know, to create fear and panic. And then they started using their lathis. And I remember getting a lathi very bad on my shoulder. I remember that very well. And then it was all, you know, very quick. You can't, you know, but lathi bhi thi, tear gas bhi tha, one was screaming, one was trying to protect one's friends, one was trying to protect oneself, you know. So there were all these different things happening. Then I remember distinctly a group of us just being pushed towards this van. I mean, I remember that van so clearly. It was this, you know, typical वो काली tin की वो पुरानी रटपटी किस्म की van. I remember, और वो उसके 2 steps थे. I remember that so clearly. 2 steps थे, and you know वो उसकी छोटी सी तंग सी वो entrance होती है ना van की. I don't even know if they'd open both the doors or one door, and we were literally, you know, and we were being pushed, and it was, and we were already, आँखों से पानी आ रहा था tear gas से, वो लाठी का, you know, दर्द था, and we were just being sort of pushed into this. And I remember climbing, you know, just being pushed up those 2 stairs of that van. वो मुझे distinctly याद है. And we were just pushed into that, and then there was वो benches होती हैं उसमें, you know, hard sort of benches, and we were just literally sitting one on top of the other. So we were taken to some thana, and you know, we didn't know where we were, because remember you can't see out of the van, so you don't know where you're going, and you know, you drive in, वो थाने के gates होते हैं, and when you drive in, you even get off, but you don't know where you are. So I remember that now, it's all coming back to me, that for a long time we didn't know where we were. We didn't know which thana, ke bhi Davis Road hai, Mal pe, kahan hai. Our families had no idea this had happened. Remember, there was no social media, there were no mobiles, there was no technology, and even news reports, you know, TV, there weren't none of these news channels that are in abundance, there was nothing. So our families, nobody knew what had happened to us. Somehow, we were there for at least 2 hours. Now don't forget, you know, हम सुबह दोपहर के पता नहीं निकले हुए भूखे प्यासे, you know. मुझे तो ये भी याद नहीं कि भाई washroom के लिए हमने क्या किया. You know, I just don't remember whether we went and used their washrooms or what did we do. So, you know, we were in a bad state. When we came out, there were lots of women there. I remember there was a lot of cheering and all. I mean, we were definitely the heroines of the day, you know. Definitely, I'd like, that's some, I mean, and not just, you know, not just the 30 women who were arrested and bundled into the van, of which I was one, but you know, all the women there, and the men, Habib Jalib Saab, you know, I think we were the real heroines of the day, and we were touted as that for a long time. And I remember getting home, I think I was dropped home by somebody. And I got home, and that scene is really vivid. My father was there, my mother, my parents are no longer alive. My elder brother is 7 years older than me, he was there. And I mean, God, the reception, you know, it was amazing. I mean, my father was just jumping with joy, he was so proud of me. And there was no sort of anger or nothing. I mean, he was so proud. I still remember my father. He said, yeah, and I'm the youngest in my family. Say, ye meri beti hai, sabse bahadur mera bachcha, and you know, I still remember that. I think things are much worse now. I think it's much more repressive and controlling the state now. And I think that, you know, you need to be much more careful, you know. And all power to the young. I mean, it is you know. As I said, for me, it was 37 years ago, and I'm remembering all this today. You've made me remember it. But all power to the future generations and the women of this country. You have to take it forward, you know. We've contributed, we are still contributing, but you know, we're getting on now. And I think many of us, you know, in the decades to come, we won't be there. And then you have to take the march forward. So good luck.